Okay, so we've got our lovely cast on 30 stitches. I'm going to make a little addendum to what I said in the last about how long you want the tail to be. Actually hold the yarn in your fingers and bring it up to, like, make it the length of your whole arm, basically. That will get you the right amount of tail, and I'm going to take a picture and add that in the comments of the post. I didn't want to have to remake that whole video. So anyway, okay, so hopefully you guys found a way that you enjoy casting on, and like I said, that's the hard part. Now we get to the fun part. So when you're working any kind of knit project that is, a scarf or a blanket or a wrap, or a dish towel, there is a right side and a wrong side. This is considered the right side because your tail is at the beginning of the project, or the beginning of the process. So when the tail is over here, that is the wrong side. So that's just a good thing to remember, because there's two stitches that we're going to be doing for this, the normal knit and then a purl. And so the wrong side, the back side, when the tail is over there, is in the beginning. So I should say when the tail is is in the back, pardon me, that is where you're going to be purling. So as you go along, it gets really easy. You begin to you can see the pattern, and it's very obvious what is a purl and what is a knit. So if you're on the side that it's obviously a bunch of knits, then you're going to know you're good. So it's just a good handy thing to remember, though, that's going to be the right side. So what we're going to start with, because we're going to have a border for it, and we want it also to not kind of fold in on itself. So what you're going to do, so you stick your needle through, right? Like you see anytime anybody knits. And you're going to just pop that off. You're not going to knit this one. You're just, every time you start, you're just going to take, you're going to slide it off. Because when you knit them, usually I've found that they tend to fold in on themselves if you start with a knit. So just put it through and slide it off, and then tighten it. Now, the way that I hold my string that you're working with, I like to wrap it around my pinky a few times. Because from grooming for so many years, I don't have the best grip with my hands. Some people can just do once, some people can just hold it here. It depends on your comfort, but for me, I like it tight in my hand, and I don't like to have to use the strength of my fingers very much. So you see, I wrap around, and then I take my finger and I go like that. So that's how I hold it. Play with it. Like, this is going to be a fun process. Just keep playing with it. Also, I recommend, watching some other people knit, and see how they hold it, if it confuses you at all what I'm doing. So, okay, so we're going to do our first knit. So you go ahead and you stick the needle through like you had done, in the other one. And then you're going to hold, see, now I've got both the needles in this left hand. You're going to wrap it around the back needle. See? Wrapping it around, and then you're going to pull it through and then slide it off. So you've done your first knit. So I'll do it for this whole row. I'll do the whole thing. I'll show you again. So slide through, wrap around, and as you can see, I have this is still there, so it's sticking out, it's coming out as you're coming through. So there's that. So, and you can slide all this up. And the first row is always a little bit more funky and a little bit more difficult to see, just because of the way that, it's all this cast on stuff that's kind of different looking. So again, the beginning is always a little bit difficult, but once you get going, it makes a lot of sense, and it becomes a no-brainer because you can really see the pattern and you can really see what you're doing. So sticking through, flipping around, So I'm going to go ahead and get through this so that I can show you guys the next, you know, from the wrong side, what you're going to be doing. So, sorry for going fast. Hopefully if this doesn't make, if you're kind of confused as to what I'm doing, hopefully you can rewind and see clearly what was going on. So, and there are ways that you can, you know, do it left-handed. There's, you know, a lot of different styles. So like I said, if you're digging this, oh, and see what I just did there? I just split the stitch. I just split the yarn on accident. I stuck it through. It's really obvious when you do that. You can tell when you start to, you know, bring your stitch around that there's something wrong. So pay attention to that, because it kind of screws up your design. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to hold the yarn. There's a lot of different ways to, you know, do it. I've heard that people do it where they have it pinned to their shirt. There's all kinds of things. It's very interesting, but okay, so we're almost through, just a couple more. And see, because it's a first row, it's a little funky. It gets, kind of difficult, like it's about to slide off. So you have to be very aware of your hands and pay attention to, that stitch. So, okay. Ooh, see, I almost slid it off. Okay, so there you are. That's your first row done. So now we're going to flip it around, and see, this is now the wrong side because this is on the left side. I'm left-handed, but you know, if you want to make a left-handed joke here, you can. Left is always wrong. I say it's always right. That's fine. Okay, so then now, so what we're gonna do for the back side, for the wrong side, is, remember, same thing where you stick it through and you're going to slip it off, because that is the way to make it not fold in on itself. Now we're going to knit 2. So 1, 2. This is how we're making the border. So on the front side, on the right side, it always looks different well, it's hard to explain, but it always looks different because it's purled versus knit and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we slipped 1 and knit 2. So you always want to remember there's going to be 3 that you start off with on the wrong side that are this way. So from here, now we're going to purl. So purling is when you bring the yarn to the front, and we're going to come through the front. Okay, so again, so instead of coming from this angle, right, we're bringing the yarn in the front, and we're coming from this angle. Okay, and so then you're going to bring the yarn through and flip it out that way, and there's that. And if you want to kind of tighten it a little bit, you can, but usually it's fine. But yeah, so you can turn that on. But anyway, you go like this, and then so now we're going to purl all the way up until the last 3. Then we're going to knit the last 3 to get that border going. So bring it to the front, slip it through to the front, come around, and there's that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one again. So we're going to go all the way through so you guys can watch purling. I'll see if I can get a better angle. Maybe that'll help. My hands look giant. That's weird. Okay. So yeah, and you know, this process, it's so super soothing. I find it really lovely. Really helps me relax. I honestly, I bring my knitting with me when I'm driving. If I'm at a stop sign that seems to take forever, if a train goes by, if there's traffic or whatever, I'll knit. I knit while I'm watching TV. I listen to podcasts and knit. I do it every morning. It's like my little meditation. It's very soothing. And you know, it's fun to learn different techniques, and there are a lot of techniques on YouTube that you can use. And what's really cool too is if you do decide like you want to keep doing this, and you want to try something new and you try a pattern and there's a weird term that you don't quite understand, you can find it on YouTube. I've found so many, I've found everything. I mean, I can do all the cabling and stuff because of what I've seen on YouTube. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so we're now to the end. So there's 3. So you're going to bring it back around to knit, right? So we're 3. So we're going to knit these last 3. Sorry, bad angle there. Okay, cool. So there's that. So now we're on the right side again. And with the right side, you're going to knit the whole way through. And then remember, on the back side, on the wrong side, is where you, you know, slip 1, knit 2, and then purl the rest to the last 3, and then knit the last 3. And so what we're going to do from here, I'm going to stop filming, so you guys don't have to, you know, just watch me knit the whole time. I don't know how exciting that is. But what I'm going to have you guys do is just go ahead and keep doing that pattern. And if, you know, you hit, basically what you're going to want to do is just make it as long as you want it to. I don't measure things. I don't count necessarily always how many rows I do or anything like that. It's basically to your liking. I've found that the 30 across really helps make a nice, nice square size. And so you can just kind of eye it. And what you're going to want to do is, basically you're going to leave like 3 rows at the end. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to show you the next step after that. I think that'll probably be the best way to do it. Yeah. So, so as you're going along, if you're starting to think, oh, this is kind of a good size, then stop and look at the next video, because the next video will tell you what to do, because what we're doing is we're trying to create that nice border. So at the very end, it's going to be, you're just going to knit the whole way, because it makes the border. You can see it. There's a difference when it's knit on both sides versus purled. And then, oh, really quickly too, actually, I am going to show you what to do if you accidentally are on, you know, one side. Let's say you're on the knit side, like we are right now. I'm going to slip. I'm going to show you how to undo a stitch. So let's say you're plugging along and you're like, oh, I'm on the wrong side. I'm not supposed to be knitting. I'm supposed to be purling. Oh, shoot. So what you do is you take in your left hand here, and you see, if you can see how this is all open right here, right? And then here's my yarn here. So then you just slip that, you now have that on your needle, and you slip it off, and you're good. See? So now if you had purled when you didn't mean to, so let's do a purl stitch. You can slip through, go around, there's my purl, and you're like, oh my god, I wasn't supposed to be purling, I was supposed to be knitting, darn. So same thing, but you just bring the, you know, yarn up to the front, and you grab it, right, stick right through that little spot, and then slip off what you hit, the work you just did. Pretty darn easy, right? And again with the knit, you accidentally knit, I didn't mean to do that, oh darn, darn, darn. Stick it through here, and slip it off. Really easy to undo what you've done. I've had to do that many times. Okay, so we'll be back, and we'll show you guys more. Toodaloo!